We are so pleased to be joined by Juno Award winner and new album maker, Jess Moskaluke. Congratulations, first and foremost, on the demos.
Thank you so much. That was a very nice intro. I loved that.
Listen, the single is everywhere. Map Dot is doing very well. This is just the beginning of a great collection of songs. Talk to us about the new album.
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting new album for me because it's really the first time I've done any kind of a concept album. The concept behind this is, shocker, the demos. We didn't know if we were going to be able to really release or record any more music this year because of the pandemic. So I decided to kind of do a deep dive into my catalog and handpick those songs that never quite made it onto an album that I've been really longing to release. And we did just that. We made an album of it. So we prettied them up without having to travel really, and put them on a record. And we actually included some of the before versions of the actual demos on the record, just to give people a peek behind that songwriting curtain a little bit.
That's really fun for fans because, you know, what happens normally is, as an artist, you don't usually get control over that. That's usually something that's like way down the line, and it's like, oh, this crazy rare demo of Jess Moskaluke I've never heard before, and it comes out, and even for you would normally be like, oh God, I don't remember doing that. But you actually get to control the release of these things. That's so cool.
Yeah, it is. And I really thought, I was chatting with someone earlier about this, and I said, you know, as an artist, I get to hear a lot of other people's demos, whether it's, you know, a song that a friend is like, oh, I just wrote this song and I wanted you to hear it, or whether it's songs that are being pitched to me that maybe I don't record, and then later, you know, someone else does and you get to hear it. And I thought, that what a cool insider view. And I wanted fans to feel like they were the insiders in this record.
Yeah, I think country fans especially are really interested in the process. And you know what? I don't feel like we get too often a window into that process. Other formats, rock is really good for this, but I think people would love to know that peek behind the curtain you said, I think is important.
I think so too. I get asked so frequently about my songwriting process because there are infinite numbers of processes, and mine specifically is that I am collaborative. I love writing with other people, and I really get a really great sense of motivation from writing to a track. So that's why some of these demos are actually quite produced. And, you know, I used to just write guitar and vocal, and then it was a much bigger difference between the finished product and the demo. But it's kind of cool. I think a lot of people expect that that's the way it is, but for me, it's morphed over the years.
Yeah, and but I do hear in your music the ability to, if I had any talent in my body at all, that I could pick up a guitar at home and have it stripped down and the song would sound good. Like, because I think a lot of country music fans have a little bit of musical skill and they love singing along around the campfire. I think your songs always translate to that, though.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's always one of the signs of a good song, in my opinion, is when you can strip it back acoustic and it sounds very different, but still really great.
Yeah, exactly. Can't wait for the Acoustic Sessions album next. Okay. Speaking of, you'd like to collaborate, you said, and you've done that on the demos, the new album. Leave Each Other Alone. Australian country star Travis Collins is on this one with you. Talk to me about how you met him.
Yeah, that's so funny because Travis just released an acoustic record too. So he's obviously got great songs. I met Travis back in 2019 on my first trip to Australia to play some shows. I needed a band because I couldn't bring my whole band over to Australia with me. So Phil Barton, who is a mutual friend of ours and a person that we both love to write songs with, said, you know, I have a friend named Travis and I think his band would sound really great on your songs. And we just happened to be playing a lot of the shows together anyway. So Travis was kind enough to let his talented band grace my songs and my stage. And I heard Travis's voice for the first time in Sydney, Australia, and I was completely blown away. And I was like, someday I'm going to beg this guy to sing with me because he's got such a great voice. And I felt like it was such a shame that I had not had the opportunity to hear his music before. So fast forward to us putting together the demos, and I had a song called Leave Each Other Alone that was not really written as a duet. And I thought, you know, Travis would kill this song and it would take this song up another level. And he he felt the same way, and he absolutely crushed the vocals. And really, this is my favorite version of the song.
I love that. It's an awesome song. The funny thing about country music is it's all over the world, and I don't think people think of it that way. They think of, you know, the South and Nashville, but obviously we know Canadian country fans are everywhere and absolutely passionate. Australia is another one of those places. It's off the hook, isn't it?
I couldn't believe it. I knew that they had a country scene there, and I knew of a few Australian artists that I had met in Nashville that I was friends with and stuff. But until you go there and experience it, like, I always thought Canadian country music fans were nuts and so loyal, and they are. So imagine kicking that up another notch, going to a place you've never been, not knowing really anybody there, and then showing up and having people sing every word to every song, regardless of whether it was a radio single or not. It completely blew me away.
And they're also just a roaring good time. Like, they're a crazy good time.
Yeah, the first day that I was there, actually, my best friend just happened to be working in Australia for the year. And so I went a little bit early thinking, okay, I'll go a week or so before the shows. I'll skip the jet lag. I'll hang out with Courtney for a bit. We did a wine tour the very first day, and we're completely out of commission by the second day because those Australians showed us way too good of a time, and I blame them 100% completely.
That's so great. So let's get back to the album. It's called The Demos, talking with Jess Moskaluke. So happy to be doing so. Country Girls, Halfway Home, Map Dot, big successful songs already. And now as we move toward new singles, did you see this coming from songs that you said that you left behind and decided to resurrect?
Not really. I mean, I had hoped for sure, because these were songs that, it's not that they didn't get recorded before because they weren't good enough. It was maybe because the title was too similar to something else that was at radio, or maybe that sound didn't work quite right with the songs on the last album. So it was always that I regretted not recording and releasing these. So I didn't think it was ever going to happen, but gosh, I'm really glad that it did.
No doubt. So you said you didn't know what was going to happen with music and how long this whole thing is going to drag out. We still don't really know what's what totally here. Talk about being dragged off the road and where we're at now for you. What have you reflected on during this time?
Yeah, so being dragged off the road, literally like kicking and screaming is the perfect way to word it. I was not even the middle. I was on the front half of the #Redneck Music Fest with Gord Bamford and a bunch of our friends. We were 2 or 3 shows in, and this hit hard. Yeah. And we were like, okay, we don't want to leave, but we need to do that. What's best for everybody, especially country music fans. We care about them as much as they care about us. So we made the really tough decision to go home thinking, okay, we'll get back in a couple weeks, maybe a month or 2, we'll rest up. I started taking some voice lessons thinking, you know what, let's get back on the road even stronger and give everybody a better show. I'm still here at home about a year later now, obviously. So that's a really big disappointment, especially coming off my very first #1. I wasn't really able to play that song for people very much. So that being said, I haven't taken a second of this time at home for granted for 2 reasons. One, it makes me appreciate the road so much more. Right. And it's given me a break. I've spent more time I've been with my husband almost 9 years now, and this is the most time we've ever spent together in our relationship. And it's amazing. It's so nice to like be at home with him and really just get that newlywed experience finally 2 years, 3 years later. Yeah. So it's been good, but I'm itching to get back on the road too.
It's funny, a recent study came out and said that a year in quarantine together in a relationship is equal to 4 years. You know how like a dog has 7 years?
Yeah.
that really, that we all have grown, and you really move forward in a relationship very quickly. Even when you're married, you know, it either deepens the bond, or as we've seen as well, you know, it bears the truth, you know?
Yes, I know. I was a little nervous too, because I thought, you know, Clay and I are both really career-minded people, and we go our separate ways in terms of that, and then meet in the middle and really support each other. But I thought, gosh, how are we going to do that when I have to work from home? So he's been really like nothing but supportive. I'm so lucky. He never complains. if he's home and I'm doing like hours of interviews or press or content, he never complains. He just kind of peeks around the corner to see if he's in the shot, and he's been so great. So I'm really thankful to have a husband like him.
Yeah, no shirtless walk behinds in the Zoom interviews for now.
That actually did happen once. And it was really funny because thankfully it was not a Zoom interview. It was a Zoom like after CCMA type gathering with a bunch of girls, of course. And I had a glass of wine and was sitting on the couch. And the way our house is set up is that our bedroom is just kind of off camera, I'll say. And he was like saying good night, but he went to grab a glass of water and walked right behind. And there were some very excited women to see my husband in his underwear.
I love that. You know, quarantine has definitely been tough, but I think a lot of us have grown a little bit, and there are some fun moments in all of it. And you know, I really look forward to all the music that's going to come out of it, even years from now. Is that happening for you? Are you writing? I know you said you took a little break, but I know you a little bit, and I know that you really break well.
Yeah, I'm terrible at taking breaks. You're right. However, I just am not feeling the Zoom write thing. And
Okay.
I said, I'm so collaborative. I've done a few writes. Actually, James Barker and the JBB were like my first Zoom write. So they like eased me into it. They're like, see, it's not that bad. We'll do it with friends. And I still it was great, but it just doesn't, it's not the same. It's not the same. So I've been working on a lot of other things, different collaborations with whether it's brands, or I started a few new ventures. One of them is handpicked by Jess.
Love that.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm focusing on other areas of my career, and hopefully we can get back to real in-person songwriting soon.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I don't write music or anything, but I get the energy in a room changes things. And then the energy is not, even with this interview, it's not the exact same. You don't get the feel of the other person. And so that if you're a collaborative worker, that's going to be a pretty tough road.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And then on top of that, there's always the internet issues and the working from home issues. Like the amount of times that my dogs need to go out in the middle of an interview, like it's off the charts. So imagine that plus, 3 or 4 other people all on a Zoom. Plus there's like the internet issues with the lag, and then you can't sing together. So like I might think that we just wrote a melody, but in my head, it might be different than what James heard. So there's a lot of complications. So it's possible. And I think that there's a lot of people that are really thriving and writing a bunch of songs that way, but I'm unfortunately not one of them.
Well, listen, before the dogs need to go out, we're going to let you go. But I want to tell people the demos is out there, and they've got to download it as on all your devices separately. Sign in with different names. Download. Jess Moskaluke, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.